Welcome everyone to another live session. Oscar here from Stressfit. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today we are here to discuss one of my favorite books, Becoming Supernatural, the last book we covered. And today we're going to do a summary of all the different insights that we've learned from the chapters. And it's going to be a great conversation. So feel free to definitely contribute and add your insights from the points that we cover. All in all, it'll be a great conversation. And again, you don't have to have read this book to be part of the live. I think it's still the insight is very universal and relevant for, I guess, anyone that's going through their own self-development journey. So the first chapter, chapter 1 in the book, hey Lisa, thanks for tuning in, opening the door to the supernatural. Nate says, I want to ask you about, because I saw people say he didn't really neuroscience as he presents himself. I think he was a chiropractor, and he did study neuroscience. He wasn't a neuroscientist, but I think he did study neuroscience for the reason that he wanted a better understanding of the brain, and then that led him to write the book Evolve Your Brain, and that was inspired from his experiences through learning neuroscience. Now, I definitely know he wasn't a neuroscientist, but he did definitely, from what he promotes, did study neuroscience. So he wasn't practicing as a neuroscientist, but he definitely delved into the world of neuroscience. And that's evident from all the information that he presents in Evolve Your Brain, which is a more technical book, one of his first books that he's written, a very, very big book. I think it's over 400 pages from memory. Welcome, Tanya. Thank you for tuning in. I've finally got my yoga application and die for yoga live. Oh, excellent. So does that mean you're teaching yoga, Tanya? Where can we hear that? You can hear it so because I've done 2 lives today, this one will be available in 24 hours. But I can, Elena or myself will write it on the feed in our group. If you go to the app, to the About tab and click the About tab, you'll see a link. You click that link and it'll take you to our link tree. And on that link tree, the last live will be there for 24 hours. So the live there at the moment is the last live we did. And then we'll be posting the one from today. And 24 hours later, we'll post this one. Hey, Barbara, thanks for tuning in. All right, so chapter 1, opening the door to the supernatural. Each of us has a myriad possible incarnations that exist in the eternal present moment, all waiting to be discovered. When the mystery of the self is unveiled, we can wake up to the understanding that we are not linear beings living a linear life, but instead dimensional beings living dimensional lives. The beauty behind the infinite possibilities that await us is that the only way that we can change those futures is to change ourselves in the present infinite moment. And I'll read that again. The infinite possibilities that await us is the only way to change those futures is to change ourselves in the present infinite moment. So I'm just reading points of something that I found on the internet, but then I'll elaborate. So opening the door to the supernatural, when we realize that we are spiritual beings, we are energetic beings going through this physical experience, it opens up the door to creation, right? If we believe that we are just physical beings living a physical life and everything is just solid and we are limited to our experiences and to reality that we see to be solidified through our senses, then we're limited to what we can perceive. And there are so many different levels of energy that we can't perceive. Now, the electromagnetic spectrum, is so broad, and we can only measure with the instruments we have today a certain part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Visible light is only a small part of the spectrum. And then you've also got ultrasonic waves, infrared waves, you've got TV waves, radio waves, so many different types of waves of energy and frequencies that are bombarding our bodies and the space around us in every moment that we cannot visually see. So meaning that just because we don't have the right receptors or the right senses to perceive different energies and frequencies doesn't necessarily mean they don't exist. And again, the example is you don't see radio waves, but they exist. Now, that begs the question: are there other frequencies and and energies in the universe that we can't measure that exist, unseen forces? And that's exactly what Dr. Joe's saying, is that we are dimensional beings living we are dimensional beings living dimensional lives, right? So that opens the door to a whole level of creativity, because when you start to see everything from the perception of energy, then it gives you more power to create, because energy is very infinite, right? And I think in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, he writes that electrons exist in a superposition, atoms exist in a superposition, meaning that they have infinite possibilities. Through the act of observation, and I've said this before in past lives, we collapse the wave function. That basically means that out there is a probability field of energy. Just because we perceive reality to be solid, if you actually get a very, very sophisticated microscope and you start to look deep into reality, you'll start to see that it's not solid at all. It's actually made out of these subatomic particles in this quantum realm of just, of this really mysterious level of, mysterious level of particles that are the building blocks of the universe. And these particles, they can either exist when they're particles, we call it matter, but they also have a different position or a different expression called energy, which is a bit more like waves. So only through measuring reality do they condense into the one reality. So they go from this waviness, or like this, infinite position of energy, then condense into the one form of reality. So they go from a non-local state of energy to a localized state of matter. And that's what we perceive is the universe to be matter, but it's actually not matter at all. It's made out of energy. So if an atom is in a superposition, meaning it has infinite possibilities, because they cannot actually pinpoint the one position of an atom. It's just bouncing in and out of dimension. So it exists in a superposition, they call it. Then that theoretically, that means that tomorrow there's an infinite variation of possibilities. Next week, next year, whatever we can't see, the unknown, it still hasn't collapsed into the one reality. So there are numerous expressions of realities, probabilities, possibilities yet to experience. When we come into alignment through the act of observation or the act of measurement with that reality, then the gravitational pull becomes stronger in your manifestation to attract these experiences. Welcome, Sana. So if you're the type of person you sit there and you perceive life to be threatening and sad, then that is your energy that's going out into the quantum field, or this wavy field of energy, this probability field, this unified field of just energy. Call it the greater intelligence, a sea or consciousness full of energy. That's what you're projecting out there. Now, the greater intelligence, it doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you're being as an energetic being. So the language of the universe is energy. I believe Nikola Tesla said that, or Einstein, one of the two. So if the language of the universe is energy, and we can all agree, and you're projecting this, really stressful, threatening, anxious energy because you're living in fear, well, maybe the greater intelligence is going to give you more experiences to kind of validate that, because that's the blueprint that you're actually projecting, right? So if tomorrow hasn't happened yet and atoms can collapse into infinite possibilities, and we start to then measure tomorrow to be this abundant, joyful, peaceful, successful place, and we start to embody it and we start to live it and breathe it, and we're starting to project that energy, then light attracts light. The chances of us manifesting more experiences that are equal or congruent to our projection becomes more likely. That's basically my understanding of what it means to be a dimensional being compared to a physical linear being. And people that just perceive life to be, okay, in this solid universe of what we call reality, and everything, from point A to point B takes time, and we're bound by the laws of physics and all that kind of stuff, then we just limit our creativity as spiritual beings. So opening your mind up and understanding that you're an essence, you're an energy, you have this, you have this animation within the body to create, called consciousness, then allows you to be more creative. But it has to be beyond the intellect. It can't be just some theoretical understanding or this intellectual understanding. It has to be something you embody and embrace. And once you truly adopt that knowledge, then I guess you become more powerful and empowered to really truly create. Hey, CB, thanks for tuning in. And the first chapter also talked about a lady by the name of Annie Williams, which was this lady that was going through this experience where she was living a life with her husband and kids, and everything was going fine. And one day, her husband left the house, didn't say a word, and he jumped off one of the biggest buildings um, in her area, and he committed suicide. And this was a massive shock to her. She couldn't believe it, and it really shocked her system. And she started to stress and started to live in this emergency state. And she went through a process of the initial shock to then the blame, blaming her husband for leaving her with the kids, and how could he, and started rehearsing more, rehearsing more outcomes and rehearsing more scenarios and more thought processes that just triggered off a stressful response in her body. And then from there, she started to get very sick. She started to become very negative. She lost her job. She lost herself. She couldn't be a good parent. She then manifested this very abusive relationship. And anyway, I'm just kind of summarizing it, but it turns out that Annie got really, really sick. She got really, really sick after these chain reaction of events that all was triggered from her husband committing suicide. She got so sick that she got cancer. She got esophagus cancer. She had another level of cancer in her stomach. She had all these conditions, and she was very, 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 very ill, and everything was going downhill. And then she got introduced to Dr. Joe, and she started doing some work. And in one moment, she just had a breakdown, and she really, really wanted to be free from the suffering. And she, in that moment of crisis, she conjured, is that the word? Conjured the spirit. She conjured the spirit to then do something about it. So she disconnected from her environment. She disconnected from anything that was activating or reinforcing neural networks in her brain that reminded her of her suffering. So she had to disconnect from everyone. She had to then go within herself, independent to what was happening outside of herself, because everything outside of herself was reinforcing this energy to keep her sick in this lower vibrational state. So even though she had nothing good happening to her outside of her, she still found the power to go within, independent to her environment, independent to her circumstances and situation. When she started going within, she started doing the work. She started to then, she did the blessings of the energy center meditation. She did some other meditations, and she started to really find love within herself, and she started to enter the quantum field, and she entered the 0 point field, if you want to look at it that way. But she entered this state of being that transcended everything that was reinforcing this sickness. So when she entered this state, there was a different energy moving through her body. She became dimensional. She was hyperdimensional in that moment. And when she started to do that, and she started to really, create a different energy, because the old personality that was sick had a certain energetic blueprint, and the new personality that she was forming had a different energetic blueprint, because she started to really amplify her energy, and she understood how all this worked because she did the work. She understood the insight. She embodied it by following Dr. Joe, and over time she started to get better. She started to heal, and obviously in the chapter it goes into a greater detail, but it turns out that she healed herself from the cancer. She healed herself from all these sicknesses. She manifested a new job. She ended up becoming a great parent. And now she is one of the teachers for Dr. Joe Dispenza in his organization. And she also runs a 7-figure business. So you see her go from one point to another point, and it's all done through creating a new energetic state of being, independent to what is happening outside of herself. And she did that by changing her energy, right? She did that by changing her blueprint. And we all have the power to do that. So if your personality creates your personal reality, which is what the formula is, and your personality is made up of the way you think, the way you act, and the way you feel, and your personality is making you sick, then theoretically you have to you have to form a new personality to become better. Because, as Einstein said, the same consciousness that created the problem can't be the same consciousness that solves the problem. You need a different level of consciousness. So then, in order to change your personality, you got to change the way you think. So you got to monitor your thoughts. You got to be the gatekeeper of your thoughts. You got to change the way you act, right? You got to demonstrate the behaviors that represent your higher self, your highest qualities. You got to change the way you feel. So you got to really shine your light of awareness on your feelings and what you've memorized, and ask yourself, do these feelings serve my highest purpose? And if they don't, then you have to start to really give yourself the experiences, the information, the people around you that make you feel vibrant, that make you feel uplifted, motivated. And this is what's really going to start creating change in the body. And when you start to really, put yourself in a space that promotes change and good energy, then that is going to be a lot healthier environment to promote healing than an environment that doesn't. So that's pretty much chapter one. Wow, that took a while to talk chapter one. I don't even think we're going to get through all this. This might be a two-part live, thinking about it. Chapter two. And before I go to chapter two, I mean, the bottom line is, I think for all of us, that, the insight to learn from chapter one is that if you truly want change, if you truly want health, if you want to give yourself the best chances at life and create well-being and a good quality life, then you have to be in check with your energy, because there are other forms of diet that aren't nutritional based, and one is called emotional diet. What do you feed yourself emotionally? Because your cells are absorbing that energy on a moment-to-moment basis. So someone that scans their life to be threatening and anxious compared to someone that scans their life to be loving and harmony are sending two completely different levels of signals and messages to the cells. Every cell has the sophistication that outclasses the most sophisticated factories today. Cells are so intelligent, way beyond our understanding. I mean, the cells are very, very, very intelligent. There's so much happening inside a cell. And for those who don't really understand biology, and I don't really understand that much, but in a nutshell, you're made out of trillions and trillions and trillions of cells. Each cell has a membrane around it, which is the outer layer. Once you penetrate the membrane, it has the organelle, and all the organelles, the organelles are like the biological equipment inside the cell membrane. And then once you go inside the nucleus, you have the chromosomes, which is the other layer inside the cell. And inside the chromosomes, you have genes, which are in this double helix format, and inside the genes are your DNA. And we have around 22,000 genes, but yet there are over 120,000 proteins made. And scientists didn't know why in the past, because they believed if you have 22,000 genes, there should be 22,000 proteins. But we now know through the study of epigenetics, genes can be expressed differently. That's why if you get two twins that are born with exactly the same genetic DNA, but one twin dies before the other twin, it's because of the epigenetic curses that have created different genetic changes in the body through lifestyle, experience, diet, and the last one being perception, how you perceive reality. Because if you perceive reality to be threatening again, you're going to be stressing your cells out. That's right. You are what you think, as Ava's put it. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. So it's okay to be triggered. We all get triggered. We all lose our shit. It's fine. It's part of the process. Anger is a very natural response. But what is the refractory period? How long are you going to stay angry for? Staying angry for a long time, it goes from being triggered to a mood, to a characteristic, to a personality disorder, right? Then to you, like you have memorized suffering so well that you are the suffering. You have memorized being depressed so well, you are the depression. You have memorized being sad so well that you are sadness. You don't even have to be sad anymore. You are just sad. You become really good at it. You become a master at it. You've learned it so well because you've rehearsed it over and over again, and it's no different to playing an instrument. You've just become really good at being sad. And that's what happens. We start to program our brain, right? And we'll learn that. And I've got a really good course on this. It's a 30-day course that goes really deep into this neuroplasticity, epigenetics, for those who want to learn more about it. And I have meditations for this, and you can find that on the channel if you guys like. So just, again, be aware of your energy and when you're triggered, and don't stay in a shitty mood for too long, because it's just going to hurt yourself, right? You're just hurting yourself. And be aware of what you're rehearsing over and over again, because what you rehearse, you inevitably become, right? Because that's what you're putting into your subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is the powerhouse, right? And then that can really create a strong gravitational pull to experiences that you may or may not be aware of. But you're programming yourself like that. And remember, everything works on energy, because if you're acting from a place of lack or anger or despair, or suffering or sadness, it may be justified in your mind. Like, you might have 1,000 reasons why you're feeling like that, but this is not really healthy for your body at all. So that is what you are feeding your body. That's the emotional diet, and your cells start to feed into that, and it kind of just keeps everything in this emergency state, and things aren't flourishing. Things aren't being nourished. The mind is everything. It is the powerhouse. So you really want to keep a healthy mindset. Mental health is everything. So chapter 1, be a dimensional being. Be open to the possibilities. Chapter 2, the present moment. If you want to experience the supernatural in your own life by healing your body, creating new opportunities you would never have imagined before, and having transcended mystical experiences, you first need to master the concept of being present in the eternal now. When we are in survival mode, we automatically become materialists, defining reality with our senses by what we can see, hear, smell, feel, and taste. We also narrow our focus and put all our attention on matter, on our bodies, existing in a particular space and time. The hormones of stress can cause us to give all our attention to our outer environment, because that's where the danger lurks. This is an important one, and relevant to each and every one of us. When we're fully present in the moment, we are powerful. We are creators, right? There are two different states of experience. We have a state of creativity when we're abundant and we're magnetized and we're empowered and want to go out and live life and just be our best. And then we have a state when we're surviving. We're like, a little bit insecure. There's a bit of fear. There's lack. We're just going through the motions. We're worrying. We're just thinking about all the things we don't have, and we're chasing money. And we just it's just a really lower vibrational state, acting from a level of disconnection, discontentment, and just unsatisfaction. So when we're not being present and being magnetized, living in alignment and in cohesive order with the higher power, if you like, we're in the survival state. This survival state triggers a stress response. What is the stress response? The stress response is the flight or fight response, which evolution has equipped us with for us to survive from danger. So back in the day, when we saw a pack of wolves, we saw a lion, we saw a cheetah, whatever we saw to be a predator, there's the hypothalamus, a part of the brain through the sympathetic nervous system, or the hypothalamic axis, will turn on this stress response, and this stress response will start releasing these hormones that come from a family called glucocorticoids, and these hormones will start to surge this energy in the body. Now, this energy in the body has been designed to give you this short burst of energy to survive, because if you see a lion or a pack of wolves, you need to survive and you need all the energy you can get. So it takes all the blood from your valuable region, which is your visceral area, or this abdominal region, squeezes all the blood out to your extremities. Your pupils start to dilate. Your respiratory system starts to become faster. Your heartbeat becomes faster. Your temperature raises. Your digestive system shuts down, because what you ate for breakfast isn't really important right now to digest, because all you need to do is survive. You're surviving from fangs that are going to penetrate your skin. So all these different things that the body needs to do, like immune system support, tissue repair, all the building blocks for these long-term projects to keep you alive for your life expectancy, all these good hormones to make you feel balanced, all that's put on stop. And all that needs to happen right now is survive, survive, survive. And if we didn't have this mechanism, maybe our ancestors wouldn't have survived, and we wouldn't be here today. So it is an amazing mechanism, a much needed mechanism, a very relevant mechanism, a defense mechanism for us to survive as a species. But the flight or fight response has not adapted to modern day living, meaning that there are no lions, there is no pack of wolves, there are no predators lurking around trying to bite us. So what is the lion? What is the pack of wolves? What is the predator? Right? Because our endocrine system, our flight or fight response still believes it's living in the jungle. It hasn't adapted because it takes millions of years for us to evolve and change our DNA, right? As mammals that went from water to land. It's a very big leap in evolution. It hasn't happened yet. So we're still living like we're living in the jungle. So when you run into your ex-partner in the supermarket, they're a lion. You're going to shit yourself because you haven't returned something, and you're going to start feeling the stress. For example, your mother-in-law, she does your head in. You don't want to speak to her. That's going to stress you out. So more serious stuff: finances, mortgage, taking on debt, breakups, divorces, everything's stressing us out. Internet connection. The last time you had an internet connection, you couldn't get online. It's stressing you out. Credit card bills, traffic jam, running late. That's a big one for me. If you're running late, deadlines, public speaking, even looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking you're not good enough, that's stressing you out. The clothes you wear, putting on weight. Hey, Fabre, thanks for tuning in. Everything is stressing you out. So thanks, Bob, man. So how long are you going to survive running all day, every day from a lion, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year? You're not going to survive that long before things start to malfunction. Hey, Richelle, thanks for tuning in. Things start to malfunction. There's disorder. There is uneasiness in the body, right? Because all this stressful energy is accumulating, and we become so prone and adapted to this stress response that it is our normal state of living. And for some of us, we hide how mentally and physically exhausted we are by drinking so much coffee. How many of us are guilty of drinking 3-4 coffees a day, 2-3 coffees a day, to hide the fact how exhausted we are because our adrenal glands are fatigued? Or energy drinks, it just camouflages how tired we are. How many of us can't sleep at night? Wake up, 4 hours sleep, can't stop thinking. We sit there, dwell, romance the past. All these thoughts dominating us, not having energy, being lethargic, putting on weight, all these kinds of stuff, autoimmune diseases, list goes on. Stress response. That's why they say stress is the number one killer. And this has been one of the biggest motivations for me to start Stress Fit, because I understand how critical it is to manage stress. And it's more than some abstract, this is stress, but it's more than some abstract subject. It's more than an abstract. It's something that we should take seriously, right? Because if we don't take it seriously, then we can't manage it. And you don't want to be a means to a cure when you can be the prevention, right? Prevention is better than a cure. So when we're in a survival mode, we're living under the hormones of stress. Even waking up in the middle of the night thinking of some worst case scenario, right, is going to give your body stress hormones. And that's the most unique thing about being a human being, is that the body doesn't know the difference between a fabricated thought in your mind and a real life event. You can have a thought and be so focused that the body starts to shift into that experience. And this is great when we're manifesting, but when we're not manifesting and we're rehearsing outcomes that don't serve us purpose, that don't serve us any purpose, or that aren't in alignment with our highest order, then it's going to be stressing the body. So by understanding that, then we should take it seriously when we start to feel stressed, and we should do our practices to bring our body back into order so we can be living in this creative state. Meditation. This is why we're on the app. It's a great tool to bring your body back into order. Going for long walks, breath work. I teach breath work on this channel. Exercise, but mind you shouldn't exercise when you're in a catabolic state, because you're just going to stress your body out. Exercise is a form of stress, but it's called eustress, not distress. Eustress is good for you. It's adversity, it's hypertrophy. You start to adapt and change and evolve through the stress response because you're stressing your body to become stronger. So when we start to really realize that, then we have to have the practices, or we have to be self-aware enough that when we're triggered, that our refractory period of stress is under control, and we bring our bodies back into balance instantly. You do that through just deep breathing and calming the nervous system. Everything comes back to your nervous system. And this is another big subject, and I won't go too much into it. But the point is that be mindful of your stresses. Understand that it's unsettled energy in the body that accumulates, that the cells of the body absorb. And whenever you find yourself triggered, stressing the nervous system out, don't worry how it happened. Just worry. Don't worry about how it happened. Just be mindful to bring your body back into balance. And you bring your body back into balance just through anything that helps you relax, but not watching TV. Listen to some music, breathe, because the body is still an animal. Remember, evolution, flight or fight response. When the animal is in fear, it's anxious. That's why a lot of us have anxiety, because the body believes it's living in fear. If you truly knew you were safe and loved and at whole, you wouldn't have anxiety, right? But when your body, from after some traumatic experience or some level of experience or whatever, it's stuck in this state of fear. When you start to calm the nervous system and make your body feel safe, then you'll start to neutralize the anxiety, and that's done through breathing. So live in the present moment. Don't live in your head unless it's used for calculating something. Be present. We all know that it's very cliche. Live in the present moment, but the point is that be aware of the refractory period. Don't sit there and let yourself stress for too long. Bring your body back into balance and embrace the present moment. And sometimes we may need to take 30 big breaths and do the breath work. We do it here on this channel, and learn the breathing techniques, and just be very mindful to bring your body back into balance, and just embrace and keep yourself safe, and do the affirmations and do whatever it needs to be done. And just be aware to keep your body safe and in balance. Chapter 3, tuning into the new potentials in the quantum. Sunny says, I swim every day and I've had a quick dog walk too. I force myself. Absolutely. Walking the dog, walking animals, being with animals is super relaxing. Any form of activity that just gets you out of nature is super relaxing after you finish, but it's so good for your body. It's such a biohack for the body, just releasing different chemicals and hormones. So another really good way to relax. So relaxation is the key. Tuning into the new potentials of the quantum realm. Tuning into the new potentials in the quantum. Chapter 3. Getting beyond our body, our environment, and time isn't easy, but it's worth it, because once we disconnect from the three-dimensional reality, we enter a whole other reality called the quantum, the realm of infinite possibilities. So again, what we touched base on chapter 1, there is this unified field that connects you, me, and everyone else, every living being and organism together. There is a unified field that connects you, me, and everyone together. It unifies everyone, right? And it's connected through our consciousness. It is this invisible field full of energy. It is called the quantum field, the 0-point field. It is the ether. It is the space that harbors, that allows all manifestation to take place in. Without this space, without this ether, there would just be no platform for this existence to manifest in. The quantum field, the unified field connection, that's what it is. And it is probability, it is possibility, it is potential. It is infinite. It is eternal. It is beyond space and time and all the physics that keep us grounded on this reality. Now, this field is full of energy, We are an expression of this field. We are connected to this field, but there are so many layers after layers and after layers of conditioning that kind of barricades our access to this field. So when we're born, you observe a newborn, and they are very much connected to this field. They are just in this pure state of awareness, absorbing their environment, just taking it all in, and they are just in the moment, connected. And as they start to build concepts and become programmed by their programmers, and they start to develop a critical mind, an analytical mind, they start to lose that connection, and they start to identify with their gender, their name, their likes, their dislikes, their stresses, and it starts to form this personality. and then it forms this mental construct on who they believe they are, and they are so identified to the projection of their consciousness that they lose connection with the essence that they were born with. And this is what we're doing. We're trying to go back to that essence, because as we get older, we realize that the outside world can't really truly fulfill us, because it is bound by the law of impermanence. Everything is impermanent, and whatever is impermanent isn't truly going to give you satisfaction. It's only going to give you temporary satisfaction, isn't it? You're just this yo-yo going up and down in this emotional roller coaster ride. One day you're happy, the next day you're sad, the next day you're sad. You're looking for something to make you happy, then you're this, then you're that. It's just all these emotions and feelings, but it's never truly fulfilled. We want something, we desire it, we get it, then we want something else. It's just this egotistic state. It's bound by change. It's in a transient flow of change. It's always changing. Whatever changes can't truly quench your ancient thirst for connection. So when we learn through the work and insights from many amazing teachers that teach us to go beyond our analytical mind, to go beyond our body, to go beyond our thoughts, to go beyond the physical realm and connect to the consciousness that is witnessing through this field of awareness, this experience called life. Once we can connect with the source, once our attention goes back to its source, we start to connect with the infinite realm of possibility, the untapped potential. You have to go from being a somebody to a nobody. You have to go from being a someone to a no one, from sometime to no time, to somewhere to nowhere, to enter this field. You can't go as a personality. The vibrational match just doesn't work, because you're bringing the layers and layers and layers of conditioning, which lowers your frequency, because the personality is vibrating at a certain frequency that is relative to this physical experience, and the energy, the essence, which is infinite, is at a different frequency. You can't be the personality and be this infinite energy. It just doesn't work. You have to strip away the personality, and you have to connect with the infinite within you, the essence. What is the essence? Well, Muji, what we're learning at the moment, your thoughts are observed, so you can't be your thoughts. Your beliefs are observed, you can't be your beliefs, what you believe in. Your body is observed, you can't be your body. Your feelings are observed, you can't be your feelings. Your cells, they're shedding every moment. Trillions of cells are shedding every couple of years, and they're regenerating, right? So you can't be the body. Like I said, you can't be anything you observe. So who is the observer? Where does this observation comes from? Where does this level of awareness comes from? Well, the intellect can't understand that, because the intellect needs something to grasp to, something to identify with. You have to feel it within your heart. It's like asking a fish what water is. A fish can't explain to you what water is. It's just what it is. It just feels it. It's where it swims. It's the energy that encapsulates its experience. And that's no different in a sense what we are with this energy. Like, we can't explain it. We can try and explain it, but we can't really truly measure it. You can't measure consciousness. You can't measure energy. It just can't be done. We don't have the instruments to, but we have it within us. And when you start to feel it through meditation, through the breath work, and you really start to feel it within your hearts, and you start to flood your attention into the body and start to raise your vibration, and you can transcend space and time. You can transcend your narratives. You can transcend your personal history. You can transcend your reality. You can transcend your past. You can transcend your future. You can transcend your trauma, everything. Then the past and future collapse, and you just become this consciousness, this open awareness. And this is how you access the field. And then you go from being a nobody to everybody, because you're now connected to everything. You go from being no time to every time. You go from being no one to everyone, right? So then you become infinite, and everything's connected. And this is like connecting with the universal internet, so to speak. And this is where true transformation begins, because when you're connecting to this source of energy, it's almost like the body has the ability or the power now to reset and go back to its natural blueprint. So a lot of people that are carrying these conditions, and it's evident through anyone that's watched and listen to the testimonials of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, that once they connect to this different source of energy, they feel this energy move through their body, and the healing starts to happen. And the healing is that the body goes back to its natural blueprint. It knows what the blueprint is, because that's what you're born with. But all these other things that have created these epigenetic changes in the body that is responsible for all this sickness, health, pain, suffering, is all done through your own conditioning and experiences that the body's harboring onto. And maybe these blockages are just creating pressure in the body. This is why acupuncture is so popular, because it helps manipulate the energy in the body to be more flowing, right? Chi. So we enter the quantum realm of possibility as vibration, as energy. And once we do that, that's where we start to tune in, right? It's like changing your radio dial from this frequency called the physical experience to the universal experience. And it's no different from when you get the radio and you start to tune your dial. You know, it's static, 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 static. Then you find a station, and it's like, boom, okay, you're connected to that frequency. And we all have a transmitter and a receiver as conductors of energy inside this vessel. We transmit information and we receive information. And sometimes we receive information that is beyond physical. And this can be called intuition. When we're intuitive, when we just feel something because we're receiving information from maybe a divine intelligence. And we're transmitting information. You can walk into a room and go, okay, well, I don't like that guy's vibe because he's transmitting this vibrational field and I'm repulsed by it. So we're all transmitting and receiving information, whether we are aware of it or not. Tanya says, you have people who follow your path. Murdoch, who has great music with breathwork, and I'm teaching breathwork and straight. Excellent, Tanya. Great, great, great. That makes me really happy. I've got to listen to more of Murdoch's stuff, and I'll definitely be doing your breathwork session. Well done. Bob says, I've seen and think it may be the energy is connected and the body is a vessel of energy vibration. Absolutely. Makes sense. We're all connected through energy, you know. It's an internet. It's an internet, you know. It is. It's like you can, you know, pick up the phone and call someone. You can go on Facebook and you can get access to someone's life or Instagram, and it's all connected through this internet, right? This massive portal of information. And I think the energetic realm is no different. Like, we're all connected, but it's instant. We just don't have the capacity to understand that. But if we can do it now in this reality through these devices, I'm sure where we're more powerful, and because we created all this, in essence, we're going to have access to this as well. It's like everyone's connected to this super intelligence, and we can all just kind of move through that. Maybe. It's a very interesting hypothesis. Lisa says, I use acupuncture mats and the neck pillow to lay doing stretches. It's, you know what? I've just purchased one of those acupuncture mats, Lisa. I've never used it. It's got those little needles, right? Yeah. I'm just staring at it right now because I've never actually taken it out the bag. But I will use it after you've just mentioned it. Chapter 4, Blessing of the Energy Centers. Very powerful meditation. In the Blessing of the Energy Center meditations, when you learn how to reset your attention in each of these centers and become aware of the space around them, you create coherence in each of these little brains in the same manner as you create coherence in the big brain between your ears. So Blessing of the Energy Centers is one of the most popular meditations that Dr. Joe teaches, and one from my research where probably most of his students have found it to be effective and created transformation, healing, if not mystical experiences, by feeling the energy just move through the body. Now, Blessing of the Energy Centers can be traced back to the chakra system. You know, we have 7 main chakras, although some tradition will teach will teach you 8, because you have Bindu as well, the back of the head. The energy centers are all correlated to hormonal glands and hormonal systems, and they all have a tight bunch of neural networks connected right directly where the energy center is. Now, through this center, it is believed that the ancients taught that these energy vortexes, that's what chakra means, a vortex of energy, when they're imbalanced, they can be either overactive or underactive, or they can just be blocked and not be working at its full capacity. And there's many reasons for that. There's, you know, we can go through trauma, stress, suffering, some sort of psychological condition, depression, sadness. There's all these different energetic, you know, there's all these different, I guess, imbalances with our energy. that can create blockages or discoherence in these centers. And when this starts to happen, it's related, it's directly connected to the endocrine system. And when your endocrine system's out of whack and you're not really producing, if you're, for example, if your adrenal glands, which are your stress glands, if they're overactive, producing excessive amounts of cortisol because you stress out too much, then that's going to have a direct connection to your thyroid, and you're not going to be producing, the right levels of the T1, T2, T3 thyroid hormones, and maybe that could manifest hypo or hyper thyroid issues. Hashimoto's is one, I think. Not too sure, but when one hormone is overactive, one hormonal gland is overactive, it takes a lot of energy from the other hormonal glands to be working at a healthy function. So this starts to throw your endocrine system out. So a lot of the times when we manifest physical illness or physical diseases, uneasiness, they can be all directly connected to these energy centers. Now, when we start to balance these energy centers, it has a direct correlation and association with the physical manifestation, which are these hormonal glands. Now, the most creative level of healing, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is energy healing. Because when the outcropping or the illness or the physical manifestation of an illness is just the outer layer, because within that there is this subatomic world of energy and the vibration is off. And when the vibration is off, it can directly translate into the physical manifestation of this illness. So trying to heal something on a physical level is not as powerful, not in all cases, is not as powerful as healing something on an energetic level. So when we start to heal our energy, more chances than none, it will start to have a direct effect on the physical. Right. So when we do the blessing of the energy center meditation, which is all about focusing on these energetical glands, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. First is at the bottom base, also known as the Muladhara chakra, the first center, okay, located between the coccyx and perineum, where your anus and genitals are. Second is the Sawistana chakra, located just below your belly, okay, which is the second center. The third center is the Manipura chakra, also located just above the navel. The fourth is Anahata, the heart. The fifth, Vishuddhi, the throat. The sixth, Ajna, the mind's eye. And the seventh is the crown, which is Sahasrara chakra. And then there's one more, which is called Ka, that Dr. Joe Dispenza calls Ka, which is like responsible for all the other chakras. And then you also have one called Bindu, which the ancient yogis teach, which is the eighth chakra located at the back of the head, which isn't as common or as commercial. But there's two different types of focuses. There's the convergent focus and the divergent focus. So when we focus on these centers, we don't want to focus on the center itself. We want to focus on the space around the center, because when we start focusing on space, that's why you hear Dr. Joe in his teachings or in his meditations teach, feel the space between your ears, feel the space between your hands, feel the space, divergent focus. Because when you focus on space, the intellect has nothing to identify with, and instantly it creates a different frequency in the brain, because now there's no identification, there's only space. So through this divergent focus in these areas, it just has this profound effect to release any blockages or create a better flow of energy. And people are getting some amazing results from it. And you guys can check that out on YouTube, Blessing of the Energy Center Meditation. Chapter 5, reconditioning the body to a new mind. So let's say you think a thought such as my boss is unfair. How thinking that thought turns on a neurological network in your brain. Then you have another thought, I'm underpaid, and you turn a second neurological network on. Then you think I'm overworked, and then you're off to the races, because the mind is the brain in action. If you keep thinking more thoughts along the same lines and you activate enough neural networks of firing tandem. Now, the person that wrote these notes did a horrible job, by the way. But anyway, I'll do my best to kind of run with that. Whenever you have a thought, you produce a chemical in the body. So whenever you have a thought, you produce a chemical in the brain. right? So if you're having positive thoughts like I'm abundant, I'm a creator, I'm success, and you're having all these, really nice thoughts, you're producing a certain chemistry in the brain compared to, I'm too fat, I'm skinny, I don't look good in my clothes. I've got, I don't like the way I look. My nose is too big. Whatever it is that you're acting from a place of lack and disconnection and dissatisfaction, you're creating a different chemistry in the brain, right? We can all agree on that because one is making you feel good and empowering you, and the other one is making you feel bad and keeping you in this lower state of feeling. So thoughts create chemistry. Thoughts activate different neural networks in the brain. Different circuitry systems in the brain are being turned on and off, and they're releasing different neurotransmitters. Now, these neurotransmitters, whether you think positive or negative, are then signaled into the body to make you feel exactly the way you're thinking. So if you wake up thinking empowered, feeling good, feeling like you are just this magnetized being and you're ready to go out and live life and shine your light with the whole world, and everyone that comes into your field is just going to be ecstatic with your level of joyfulness, for example, then your body is going to start feeling that, and you're going to start raising your vibration and it's going to start feeling good. But if you're feeling very insecure, then you're going to start feeling insecure. You're going to start feeling really, down and low. And it might be reflective on the way you walk out the door and how you interact with people. So these feelings are going to then start to drive the same thoughts, and you're going to start thinking insecure. Oh my God, is she looking at me? Oh my God, did he say something? Whatever these thought processes are, they're going to be reflective to what you're thinking compared to, oh, you're in the car, you're feeling vibrant. I'm going to call A. I'm going to start, I haven't spoken to him in a while. I'm going to call B and I'm going to start speaking. You may want to start calling random people and giving them your good energy. I know sometimes I do that when I jump in the car, and I don't drink coffee just because I'm feeling good. Now, your thoughts produce this chemistry to generate these feelings. Then these feelings drive the same thoughts, and this creates a state of being, right? So all these things are happening just through thinking. Like networks are being turned on, hormones are being produced and signaled into the body to generate feelings, and these feelings are then generating more thoughts, and there's a certain internal chemistry that your body is memorizing. You do this day in and day out, then over time you're going to program a certain state in the body. Now, this state can either give you random love attacks, where you just feel love for no reason because you're just in this abundant state, or you're going to maybe manifest random panic attacks because you've stressed out so much that your body doesn't know the difference between a false alarm or a real life threat. Like the body starts to panic. And this is what happens when we're not mindful of our mental rehearsal, right? Because we're so unconscious half the time that we're not even aware of what we're rehearsing. We're starting to program a certain state in the brain, and then we're starting to program a certain state in the body. And now we're prone to more experiences because now we're projecting a field. Remember that there's also this energetic element to this, is that, yes, all this chemistry is happening, but our energy, people are feeling it. Oh, don't go near Oscar today. He's in a really bad mood. Or, my head's down at the office. I'm not really making eye contact. Compared to me greeting everyone, saying hi to everyone, it's a completely different field of energy that you're showing up with. Everyone's going to feel that because like I said, there's this innate ability for us to feel each other's vibration. So that field is going out into the quantum field, and it's communicating with the greater intelligence, and it's creating and carving this channel for you to experience more things to make you feel like that. So that's why bad things always happen to me. Why are bad things always happen to me? I'm always getting because, and you're manifesting that because you're priming your brain to come into alignment with experiences that validate and reinforce the chemistry that you've memorized. And this is what's happening if we're not aware of our emotional diet, if we're not aware of our mental rehearsals, if we're not really truly understanding how our minds work. So to then recondition the body to a new mind, we have to have new thoughts that then drive new feelings. So when we start to have new thoughts, having new thoughts lead to new actions. New actions develop new behaviors. New behaviors produce new experiences. New experiences create new feelings. New feelings drive new thoughts, which creates a new state of being. Same thoughts, same actions, same behaviors, Same experiences, same feelings, same thoughts, same state of being. Your personality creates your personal reality. Goes back to the formula. So you have to, if you want to create a new personal reality, is to form a new personality. This is great. This is one of the most powerful insights I've ever learned. It's powerful. And it just sums it up so beautifully. So understand that every thought is so, like, your thoughts can kill you. It's true, because they turn on the stress response. And if you stress out enough, it'll create such uneasiness in the body that your body will go into this emergency state. And over time, you may manifest a disease, a dis-ease, when you're not at ease with yourself. So that's how powerful thoughts are. So it's really important to talk nice to yourself, right? The self-talk is important, like just to reinforce love within your own hearts, because that's creating chemistry neurologically, emotionally, chemically, bioenergetically. So many things are happening just by talking good to yourself, being kind to yourself, and obviously being in an environment that promotes wellness. You don't want to be in an environment that's toxic. That's not only good for your state of being, but it's not good for your health. That's it. We got to chapter 5. Wow. And there is chapter. We might have to continue this next week, guys. I really thought I was going to get through all the chapters, but no way. We're going to have time. It's funny because I couldn't find the book, and I just went on the internet to find some notes. And the guy that's written these notes, just, you can't. The grammar is so horrible. I'm reading the notes, but there was just enough there for me to run with it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the session. I do around 4. Thank you, Palm. Thank you so much. I do around four lives a week. One is breath work. One is guided meditation. One is a session I call Evolve, and I always bring you guys subjects and discussions that promote growth and self-development. And for the next couple of weeks, we'll be learning the powerful insights from becoming supernatural, and then after that, we might go on to epigenetics, and then learn about epigenetics. But there's always going to be something different. So if you resonate with this information, please follow the channel. And if you want to be up to date with our lives, and these sessions are recorded as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the good vibes and the great feedback. Really enjoyed presenting this session. I just love powerful insights that create transformation, and that's what it is. It's the metamorphosis of going from a physical being to a spiritual being. And when we can truly fill our container up with powerful insights, it's ammunition for us to face the obstacles in the outside world, right? And without this ammunition, we may be more susceptible to suffering. But once we have the ammunition, we have the tools and the insights, we become invincible, we become indestructible, and we can really use the power of our minds to accelerate, evolve, elevate, and motivate ourselves to be the very best that we can be. So fill your container up with good energy, good insight, and just believe in the power of yourself, because we are more powerful than we think. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Palm. Thanks, Adam, man. Thank you so much. So if you go to on the app, there's an About tab. If you click the About tab, it takes you to a link. Thanks, Blossom. And that link will take you to the link tree, and it'll have our last live. So at the moment, there's a live there called Before I Am. It's a very powerful breathwork session. Tonight, there'll be the live I did earlier, which is Finding the Present Moment, which was also a powerful meditation. And today's live will be probably in the next 24 hours, it'll go on. So just keep checking it. And because sometimes I do 2 lives a day, so we just have to give space between each live. And I'm back Sunday to cover, making a mess here, this book here. So the last book we covered was Becoming Supernatural. Now we're covering Muji, Vaster Than Sky, Greater Than Space. This is a powerful book, and it's really helping me with my own meditation and the way I teach meditation, because adopting Muji's insights has been life-changing. So really excited to finish the book with you guys, and then get on to our next book. And it's all about connecting with the power of your awareness. If you have time, just even 10 minutes, just practice feeling your body. That's it. Just sit there and feel your hands. Feel the energy in your hands, and then move the energy from your hands to your shoulders, and try and move that energy through your body. And if you can just do that 5-10 minutes a day, you'll start to strengthen your ability with the prana in your body, because there's a massive disconnection at the moment for many of us between the mind and body. But once we start to really put more attention into the body and start to amplify different parts of the body, because where attention goes, energy flows, we start to strengthen this ability. And this is why this is a skill that we learn. So just sit there and feel your feet on the ground. Feel the energy, feel the cells in your feet, feel the blood flow through your veins, and then go deeper and feel the vibration and feel the atoms, and then move that up to your knees, and just play around with the energy in your body. Whenever you're watching TV, you're in the car, just make it a habit to go within and feel your energy. And I can guarantee you, if you can make that a habit, within a year, your life will transform. It will transform, I promise you, because that in itself is a superpower. And we all want to meditate, and we're all trying to meditate, but this is such a powerful and potent meditation you can do when you're not meditating, right? And it becomes more powerful because you can do it a lot more. You don't have to sit there for 20 minutes and close your eyes and meditate. You can just kind of drive and just start feeling everything. Just feel. The magic is in the feeling. All right, guys, that's it for today. That's it. Sunny, I can't go a day without meditation. Well, that's a very good addiction. Check out the 30-day course. I'm telling you, it's 15 years of my own studies that I've synthesized. And read the comments first. If you, I'm not trying to sell it. I swear to God, I never try to sell anything. I do this purely out of love and passion. But I put a lot of heart, a lot of effort and energy into this course, my 30-day course. It's recorded by Grace, the vocalist. It's written by me. Powerful tools for self-development, personal development. I don't even know the name of it because Inside Team changed the name on me. But it goes into mental rehearsal, reprogramming the breath, epigenetics, neuroplasticity, power of visualization. It is a very, very, very powerful course that I recommend everyone to do. It's free for the members. And it's recorded really well in a studio. The vocalist is just absolutely stunning. Check it out if you have a chance, guys. Other than that, I'll see you guys back here Sunday. Stay blessed, keep shining, and remember to just believe in the power of feeling. Okay. Until next time, see you guys. Oscar from Stress Fit. Thank you.